You guys won the National Blue Ribbon School Award.
We were totally elated to hear that we were going to be recognized, being that we did receive the nomination. It's just a great honor, and I believe we received it because of the last 5 years. Our students have shown just high achievement consistently in ELA and in math. First, just the teachers. They are extremely dedicated to the students. They are passionate about learning, so they go above and beyond. Just the help of our parents and all of us just coming together and just putting what's best for children first.
Now let's say the Panther Pride Pledge. Today I will be prepared, I will be responsible, and I will be respectful.
We have a very high parental involvement, a very active PTO who have contributed to buying playground equipment, from technology. So they're a great resource for us as well. So in any given week, we definitely have parents in and out the building, and that's a great help for the teachers, and it helps for the students to see that their parents are involved.
When Carla called and told me that we had won the award, we were obviously very excited. I've been at the school since 2008, and I just know how good the school is, and for the school to finally be getting the recognition not only on a local level but on a national level was just fantastic. The more times we can get parents into the school, the more likely they'll have ownership, the more likely they'll get involved with both their kids and in the school environment. And you just cannot teach a child. The learning doesn't stop once they walk out of the school. So we got to have the parents interested in the learning. So anytime we can get them into the school, I think is very important. The teachers we have been so friendly in terms of inviting parents into the classroom, not only to help with projects, but just to sit in and just observe. Their openness and friendliness to the parents has always been one of the hallmarks that we hear comments back from, that when parents come here, it's the teachers that just win it over.
Ivy, who's going to be in the hole. Uh-oh. Jackson, who's going to be in the hole. And Ruhi, who's going to be in the hole. The exercise that we're working on today is number bonds, where the students are finding the missing add-in or the missing number in the equation. An example would be 8 plus a missing number equals 12, and they are working to find what those missing numbers are. One of the things you have to remember as a kindergarten teacher is to keep them moving. They're very active because they're young, and so the more you keep them moving, the more kinesthetic or hands-on activities that they use, the better, and the more likely they're to receive the information, remember it, and stay engaged. We're fortunate to be the kind of school that we are, having the gifted and the talented programs and the parent involvement that we have. It's who we are as a school is a hybrid of all of those components of parents, families, the students and the teachers. I don't think we would be who we are without all of those components.
We can cut the goose open and take out all of the golden eggs at once.
This week, we are focusing on fables, and the story we're learning is The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg. So all week long, we've been reading different versions of the story and comparing and contrasting the adventures of the characters. And so today I had the students do a reader's theater, and we all know that children learn best by doing. And so having them actually become a part of the story will help to instill what was actually happening in the story and learn the plot, the problem, the solution, the characters, and those important key details. The most important thing in first grade is learning to read and learning to write. And I am blessed that I do teach a gifted class, so these students do come to me with a little bit higher reading skills, but we still have to instill those core foundational reading skills every single day. And so by the end of first grade, I want them to be fluent readers with good comprehension skills. One of the biggest things for me is that they also leave first grade as responsible little people. And part of them being able to lead these discussion groups and talk to each other and work collaboratively, not only are they learning from each other, but they're engaging in conversation, and it's preparing them for life.
The story was The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg, and why it's important is because the moral says that if you're impatient and greedy, you won't get anything, and people want to get something, but if they don't get anything, that means they're impatient and greedy.
I like to be in the school like this because I get very smart and I learn a lot.
So today what I would like for you to do is share, and we're not going to read the story because that might give some of the answers away. We're going to share our riddles, or one of our riddles, with our team members. And our team members, Palmer, are going to write either a multiplication or a division sentence to represent that story. The students are working on using multiplication and division to solve real-world problems. And they've written some multiplication stories, and they created riddles using one of the pieces of information out of the story to make 2 different riddles, and they're sharing them with their peers and solving the problems, that they've each made. The kids love math, and there's a way to make everything easy. We use a lot of hands-on materials, so we learn by doing. And I'm not big on worksheets, so most of what we do, the kids are actively engaged, and they just using when they're using the concrete objects, it's easier to understand the concept. So we start at the concrete level, like with the cubes, the little cubes, and we move on to the pictorial and then to the abstract. In 2nd grade, we're working on learning our addition and subtraction facts. And I have found that the kids learn multiplication and division facts much easier than the addition and subtraction. Sometimes the kids still want to count on their fingers to add and subtract. Well, I wasn't surprised that we won because our test scores have been very high since this is my 6th year to be here, and every year the scores, for the most part, have gone up. And our kids just do really well. The teachers work very hard, and the kids do too.
Today we're learning how to do multiplication and division, and it's important so we can solve real-world problems when we need to. When our teacher tells us the stories, or when somebody tells us the stories, I can understand it better instead of it being written on the board, because people can explain what it means to me.
Today we're going to compare the brightness of bulbs in different circuits, and you're going to determine the factors necessary to influence the brightness of a bulb.
Our students have been exploring energy, so this was a project-based activity that they explored. I posed a question to them, and just like they would do in their future careers, they were to solve the problem together collaboratively, and so that's what they're doing. They're trying to see how they can make the bulb the brightest bulb possible. They've explored energy, and now they're figuring out the more energy they add to the circuit, the brighter the bulb will be. I expect them to know the scientific method and be able to go through that process just like a real scientist would be. Right now we're focused on energy, so we want them to know the major sources of energy. We've learned about sound, we've learned about light, and so now they're exploring electricity, so we're looking at electrical energy, and I try to do a lot of project-based learning in my class so that they get to explore it hands-on, just like they would do in the future if any of them want to be an electrical engineer. And it's imperative to a good lesson. If you don't have hands-on, then the students are not going to be engaged in your lessons. They're not going to learn science through a textbook. They really have to do it with the materials and hands-on. And you're going to run into some problems, just like my students, for putting the D cells and not in the right direction. But as a teacher, you just keep facilitating that learning and helping them learn how to do it correctly, and they'll learn from their mistakes. So now I bet when they are on a test and they see that the batteries are not the same direction, they'll get that problem right. Because I believe that we have some of the best teachers at the school and the nation, not even in the state, and we all take our professional development really seriously, and we try our best. We don't do it for any recognition. We do it because we love to teach, and we do it for our students. And so when we won it, I was expecting it once we were nominated and went through that process, because I know that we have a great program at this school.
We actually get to experience it, so it helps us learn more if we remember it. Well, you actually get to build it, and I think it just helps you experience how it actually works. And if you just talk about it, then you don't really get it, because sometimes it can be confusing.
8 times 2, remember that's repeated addition, or 8 plus 8.
Today we're using different manipulatives and ways to solve multiplication problems. They're drawing arrays, they're getting the products through writing their own equations, and they are using fact families to discover how they're all related. We integrated iPads for multiplication. We always try to integrate technology, computers, iPads, Promethean boards. It keeps the kids actively engaged, keeps their attention longer, they get to use their hands, and it gets them more comfortable using technology as we come into an age where everything's technology based. I need pencil and paper, and they like to solve problems on pencil and paper, writing out and seeing different ways to solve a certain problem. I want them to know that there's not just one way to solve a math problem. There are many ways. They need to use the way that works best for them. And I would love for them all to be successful on whatever test they have to take this year and get those skills developed for 4th grade.
It's honestly been one of the best experiences that I could have hoped for my student teaching experience. It's a lot better than I imagined, and I'm very thankful to have been placed here, especially in this classroom. I'm really learning how to accommodate different students and different learners, so visual learners and audio learners, just how to accommodate all the different types and how they like to learn, all the different activities that you can do to accommodate each different type of learner.
It's important. It helps you learn. If you can go on websites in math, and it helps you learn more about all math equations.
I was happy because it was a Blue Ribbon school, and now it's a good school, a very good school.
What we're going to do next is a think tank, and it's a lesson in student inventiveness. It's kind of me getting you to work outside of the box and to use some vocabulary and some language and to look at the power of words, because language is something oral language is something we're trying to work on in this room. And so as you put that away, I'm going to play the transition music, and we're going to work in literature groups.
We represented our creation myths in an art form from Henri Matisse. And then you also was doing Think Tank, where they gave us a question, and we were looking in the dictionary and trying to find answers to the questions. And the questions are pretty difficult.
It helps us we get to think higher level, and we get more into less impulsivity and more reading and word.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. When you hear someone say that, you might wonder, what's that all about? I'm Neil Armstrong, an astronaut. I said those words when I first stepped on the moon. Have you ever wondered what it's like on the moon? I can tell you that it's still and completely silent. Being the first man to walk on the moon was a dream come true for me. And remember, when you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything. Do you like adventure? Boy, I sure did. My name is Amelia Earhart, and flying an airplane was my adventure. I learned how to fly an airplane in 1921. A woman pilot was unheard of back then. I wanted to fly all over the world, but in 1939, my plane crashed and I died. Hello, it's nice to meet you. Are you feeling well? Did you know that 12% of doctors today are female? Well, I was the first woman doctor. My name is Elizabeth Blackwell. Back in 1845, women weren't appreciated. That affected me because nobody believed in me. But I was determined and persistent, and I didn't let them bring me down. Becoming a doctor is hard, but if you're determined and persistent, you can achieve anything. Remember, follow your dreams.
Good afternoon. I am Mary Cassatt. I am a famous artist in both Europe and America. When I was 24, I was selected by the Paris Salon. That's a big deal for an artist, you know. It meant that my paintings were valued. Most of my paintings focused on women with their children. Sadly, I died in 1926, but you can still see my paintings in museums across America.
Hello, I'm a nun. My name is Mother Teresa. I'm known for dedicating my life to helping the poorest of poor people in India. Many of these people had no food or a hope for a better life. I spent my life living beside these people, being poor like them. When you think of me, please think of helping the poor.
The Wax Museum is something we started right after 9/11, and we actually had gone to a conference and had gotten the idea at a conference and thought it would be a great way to raise money for a fire truck for New York, and also bring history alive and bring it outside of the classroom instead of books and pencils. And so that's how it started.
What are the academic lessons to be learned by children participating in this kind of situation?
Well, there are many, but the one I think of the most is the historical thinking skills and the fact that I think I told it to somebody recently with all of the Wax Museum things, that when I started this, I asked the children, well, let's think about polio, and the kids didn't know what polio was. And so because of heroes like Jonas Salk and other people, those are forgotten problems. And also, you know, the history books don't have room now for all of those folks. Even pictures of George Washington and people like that, we don't even see in the hallways anymore in schools. And so by doing this, it gives them a project, something worthwhile to do research-wise, speaking, listening-wise, and then they get to perform and bring this history alive for all these children in our school, especially the younger children.
So it brings history alive, so to speak, for them, right?
Yes, exactly. And it also, when you do that work in the classroom and you do research and, you know, they're in the classroom all day doing similar tasks, but this brings them outside, and then their parents come and they have an audience, and it validates why they do what they do. And hopefully it'll carry over and make them think about the other tasks that they go back to, that there's a purpose for everything.
We're going to play a little game. Okay, so this is going to be able to see who are experts on the trading that was happening between Mali and Ghana. Okay? So, when I turn the timer on, you can get started. I'm walking around, I'm looking for discussion. Okay? Walking around, listening to good discussion. If you need to use your rubric, your discussion rubric, you can.
Well, my students are doing a unit on the Eastern Hemisphere and the different trading routes in the Eastern Hemisphere. So we were using a Venn diagram to analyze the similarities and the differences between the two empires, Ghana and Mali. When they use a Venn diagram, hopefully they're using it as a tool to help them think. If they're able to think critically and analyze the similarities and the differences of two topics or three topics, then they actually know the information and they can use it, not just on our test, but on any test, because a Venn diagram can help as a thinking tool. A Venn diagram is an awesome graphic organizer for the students to use in any subject because it helps them to organize their information. And if they can relate the differences and the similarities between topics, then they actually know the information and they understand what they're studying. I've been teaching at Parkview for 18 years, and we have always been a school that set our expectations very high for our students, and we set the expectations high for ourselves. And in doing so, we work really hard and we push our students to do the best that they can do, not just with test taking and being able to get the test scores that we need, but also just to be successful citizens as they mature through, you know, high school, college, middle school.
We were doing it because we were learning about cultural diffusion and trading, about the trading routes in Africa, what they traded, like what empires they traded to and where, and like how they trade. Are they like going camels or something, like in the desert? We used a Venn diagram, and we had two circles, and one side of the circle was Mali and the other side was Ghana, and like two circles intersect, and in the middle was the similarities. I feel proud, and it's an honor to be at the Blue Ribbon School because we have great teachers and great students, and all our hard work just pays off.
It's helped me because I get to learn more about other country history and how trade became really important and how cultural diffusion exists right now and how it's important to me. I feel really honored to be teaching by those teachers because I feel like I was chosen to be in the school and how I would really be proud of them.
What do you think about that big national award you won, the National Blue Ribbon School Award?
I feel proud and honored just like him because we work really hard, we work together, we try to ace our tests, and we just have fun on our learning.
Today's lesson was about using potential and kinetic energy in a swinger back and forth. And we used a variable that was the length of our string. And you can see really easily that with our variable changing, the shorter the length of the string, the more times our pendulum would swing back and forth.
We've been working on a unit for the last couple of weeks about motion and energy, and we've been talking a lot about the different forms of energy. A couple of those forms are potential energy and kinetic energy. And so as the children held the swingers up, that was potential energy. They would swing through, transfers to kinetic, and it was able to let them really see the transition from potential to kinetic. We do lots and lots of hands-on in my classroom. I tell the kids science isn't something you read, science is something you do. First week of school I taught them science is around us, science is your life, it's everything. And they get very excited when they get to do their hands-on experiments. My interactive science word wall is actually pink and uses glittery letters, and it's kind of a subtle hint to my girls that, you know, it's cool to be into science, it's cool to be into technology and engineering, and they know that I'm very into it. So I do try to encourage my girls as well as my boys. This is my first year actually as a teacher at this school, although it's not my first year teaching. However, I've had children, my own children at this school for years. So I know firsthand that this school puts everything they've got into its students. Everybody in the school knows most of the kids, all the way from the principal, everybody down knows everybody. And they look out for them. They really try and do their best for every single student in this school. And I think that makes a big difference.
We were making swingers like the one that me and Aseel just made, and we're learning about motion and potential energy and kinetic energy. The swinger, when you have it like this, it's potential energy, and like what Aseel said, once you swing it, it loses potential energy and gains more kinetic energy. I actually like science. It's my favorite subject, and in elementary school, science is very interesting, and we do a lot of experiments. When you're about to start swinging it, it has potential energy. But when you let go, it has some potential energy, but it's gonna gain more kinetic energy, so then it can start swinging more. The force, I guess, is kind of like friction. Like when you slide a cube on dirt, it starts slowing down. But when you're on when you're on smooth air, it goes fast. So this is what is kind of happening with the when you're swinging it. I think this is very exciting for me because it's really an honor that Parkview Elementary is a blue ribbon school, and because I was in pre-K and I didn't even know that this is possible. I've been here since pre-K and I didn't know this was possible, that this amazing school can be a blue ribbon school. But it has lots of potential and stuff. I knew it was going to win a blue ribbon.
It has something to do with gravity, because every swing it has potential energy, and every time it goes up and back down, gravity's pulling it down, and the kinetic energy is building up. And as it slows down, it has potential energy, because potential energy is when something has the energy to do something.
I think it's great.
What have you learned so far in your time here?
I learned a lot. Compound energy, kinetic, and all. Yes, sir.
We're trying to figure out this morning what exactly happened out here. There was a crime, we know that. And the evidence could be anywhere.
They were having a crime scene. It goes with a fourth grade unit that they do. That's a continuation of a several week unit where they're linking it to their reading curriculum and also their science curriculum, where they come out and we have a mock crime scene and the children search for evidence. So they go through the whole criminal process from the crime all the way to final sentencings of the criminal if he's convicted. They enjoy hands-on activities. They get so much out of it when they can actually experience what they're doing and then apply it to everyday things that they see on the news or they see on TV, as opposed to the teacher standing in the front of the classroom and saying, okay, here's a crime scene, let's look at it, and give them just verbatim just the information that they're supposed to do, or give them a picture of a shoe print and say, let's just compare these shoe prints, as opposed to sticking the different shoes in the auto auditorium, and then giving them the shoe print that was on the ground, and then the students having to compare the bottom of the shoe prints. It makes them more observant about what's going on around them. It helps them to focus on what's at hand rather than a teacher standing there and just giving them information. It gives them critical thinking skills that they're going to use for a lifetime.
The most important aspect, I would think, is like learning. Like if you want to become a real CSI when you grow up, you'll remember this, and you can use the knowledge you got from this to help you.
We try and organize our recess as much as we can. We have a recess league, and in the fall we play football, and then in the spring we turn it into soccer. Part of the recess league is linked to the academic side of it because the kids don't get their homework done, they don't get out on time, they don't get to participate in the league, and that could cost their team a win or a loss because if one of the better players is not doing their homework, then they're without that player for the day. So we try to keep it as organized as we can, keep the kids on task, and makes recess go by quick for us, and they have a lot of fun.
It's organized, and that's the important thing, because a lot of recesses, you just go out there and do whatever you want, but they're organized activities you get to choose. Is that correct?
That's correct. They could either go from soccer to football. We have a lot of stuff they could do gymnastic stuff on, and if they stay focused and organized out here, well, when recess ends and they go into the classroom, they're ready to get back on task on what they were doing in there and not bringing problems from recess into the classroom, which causes problems for the teachers. But no, I think the kids have a lot of fun out here. Whether it's PE or recess, physical activity, these kids run 600 yards almost every day when they come to PE, along with what the skills we're teaching. But it just gets them active and gets the blood flowing, and then when they go in the classroom, I think that follows over to being able to do very well on their academic side.
This is one of the schools that anybody who walks through the door, they take. It's an attendance zone type school. So obviously you're going to get a cross section of all kinds of students, and they're able to take everybody they get and bring them up where we're able to achieve national standards and get national recognition. So I think that's a direct reflection upon their ability to be able to take these kids and bring them up, no matter what their background is or what their abilities are.
You have to put the students first and keep in mind that they are children and that we're not just developing them for college and career, but also as adults and citizens. And so we just try to make sure everything is well-rounded.